Israel facing a war on multiple fronts, but another is emerging online. Hamas spreading terror propaganda on social media, and some U.S. lawmakers are stoking the fire. Congresswoman Rashid Tlaib and Ilhan Omar both have posts that are still up on X that blame Israel and President Biden for the deadly attack on the hospital in Gaza. Joining us now is the Soufan Group Research Director, Colin Clarke. Colin, I got to ask you, when you look at this, who is winning this social media online war, and what implications does that have for ground operations?
Well, thanks for having me. Anytime we're going up against a terrorist or insurgent group, they have the advantage. This is an asymmetric conflict. It costs them next to nothing to use social media. And I think it's clear that Hamas has taken a page from the Islamic State's book by focusing and allocating resources to the use of social media, not only to recruit, but to spread terror. We have to remember that the core goal of terrorists, in addition to killing people, is to inflict psychological pain on civilian populations. And through social media, they're able to do exactly that.
Colin, we were just talking about the impact of social media, using terms, and it does have an actual impact on the outcome of what's happening on a day-to-day basis. So you take the term ethnic cleansing, for example. The left on social media is suggesting that the Israelis are conducting an ethnic cleansing of the Palestinians when the Israelis are retaliating for atrocities that occurred upon their people on October 7th. And so this, twisting of the narrative in this way, in this sort of perverted way, then has an impact on protests and other activities that we're seeing around the world. So with this new tool in the toolbox, it's certainly not going away. How do we navigate this new normal?
Well, I don't think it's a surprise to anyone to suggest that social media is inherently polarizing. And in fact, instead of bringing people together, it's dividing people, especially at a time when we need unity, when we need people to come together to stand in the face of terrorism and to denounce that terror. So, the Iranians know that, Hamas knows that, and they're able to kind of use this as a way to twist the knife, if you will, to divide societies further, to divide the United States, to divide Israelis, and to have us consumed with fighting with each other rather than presenting a unified front to the range of adversaries that we now face in the Middle East.
Colin, the problem I have with this is actually on the human side of it, right? So you have the social media, you have the technology, but then you have people who have an outsized voice and influence, and they latch onto something well before they ever could have verified whether it's true. And they pump it out there. And we mentioned a few names at the top here. And it strikes me that if those folks don't do that, then all the so-called disinformation and all of the propaganda, it has less oxygen if they act like adults, but they don't. How should we be treating those who repeatedly push information from positions of power that they should know better, is not ready for prime time, and oftentimes is not true?
Yeah, I think, disinformation, conspiracy theories, and the like inherently favor our adversaries. And so it brings the tenor of the conversation down to a place where there can be no truth, no facts, when in fact there are facts, there is evidence, but our adversaries, are more comfortable operating in that area. So I think, we have free speech in this country, thank God. But people in positions of power and of influence really need to wield that power correctly. And I think it always pays to wait. It's prudent to verify information before jumping into the fray, because oftentimes, this disinformation is specifically tailored to reinforce, a select set of narratives. And again, it's inherently divisive. And so rather than focusing on solutions to this problem, it brings about infighting. We're at each other's throats. We're having conversations about who said what when really what we should be talking about is, actual concrete policy solutions to help get us out of this mess.
Yeah, good point. Colin, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.